Hey, what up? It's Brad with Home Love Construction, and welcome to the Critical Path podcast. I'm here with my friend Mike. Mike, I'm not going to say your last name again, but because I butchered it earlier off camera. But Mike runs the Tampa area franchise of There Dump That, which is a dumpster rental company. And if you don't know anything about dumpster rentals, it's an amazing business to be in. We actually do a lot of business with you, and
yes.
thank you for the service you provide.
Appreciate the business. Thank you.
Yeah, it's actually quite well done. But Mike, why don't you introduce yourself and just kind of say who you are and what you do and where you're from?
Yeah, sure. Thank you. Mike Sovie, we've been there, dump that. And I'm from Clearwater area here locally, and we do service all of the Tampa Bay region, which for us is Pinellas County, Hillsborough County, and kind of out to Lakeland, like Western Polk.
Nice. That's awesome. And so how long have you been running this? So first thing, this is where I want to start. I didn't realize that There Dump That was a franchise until you just said it like 5 minutes ago.
Okay.
So how's it been owning a franchise? And two, how did you get into owning a dumpster rental franchise? Is that not just the most, like if you look back 20 years, is this not the most random thing? It's a great business, but is it not the most random thing?
It's pretty random for my background.
Okay,
yeah.
so how did that happen?
Yeah, so my background's in healthcare.
Yeah.
And while I was in healthcare, I was looking for an investment in a different industry, kind of get your eggs in a different basket, right?
Sure.
And living here in Florida, construction was booming. I had just done a remodel on my house, had a terrible time finding a good, reliable dumpster rental company.
Yeah.
And I thought, hey, this is something I might check out. Well, in talking with an old high school hockey buddy, I found out that he was in a dumpster rental franchise, Been There, Dump That, up in Indianapolis. And I called him and I said, hey, how's this thing going? And he was having a good experience. And that's what I was looking for, something that was turnkey. I'm good at running a business and operations, but I was already in a business. So I wanted something else where I could just get a playbook. I could put people in place and we could turn that key and get it running. And that's what we did back in 2014. So we're going on year 11 right now.
Wow. That's awesome, man. Year 11.
Yep.
That's some longevity.
It is, yeah.
Yeah. Do you know that I was just seeing stats on this. It's like something like 95% of businesses go out of business in the first 10 years.
Yeah, it's amazing,
it's
right?
Crazy, man.
Yeah.
It's crazy. So first off, good job on making it to
Thank you.
11 years. Yeah, we're in a similar boat. We've been in business now since 2011, so 13 years, so about the same time.
Wow.
And there definitely were some times where I was like, shit, we might go out of business. So the statistic is real to me. Like it's can be really challenging to actually make it. I'm super interested in when you say turnkey, because like for me, I've never owned a franchise. I've never been involved in one, but the concept is super interesting to me.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it is to other people as well. When you say like it was turnkey, just had to hire people and go, like what specific, like did they tell you, hey, this is how you market, this is how you pick up and drop off the dumpsters? Like how systematized is it really? Like give me an example, like how fine of detail did they go into in the kind of instruction manual?
Yeah, so coming out of healthcare, I knew nothing about the construction industry, knew nothing about trucks, dumpsters, acquisition of them, right?
Yeah.
All my contacts were in healthcare.
Yeah.
I could acquire anything you wanted there, but
Yeah.
I couldn't in construction or the dumpster industry. So when I say turnkey, like they had, here's your marketing plan, here's different softwares, here's the vendors, here's what the prices are. So they really helped get that off the ground without the same amount of effort or resource it would have taken me to go do it on my own.
Oh yeah. So is it literally like, hey, buy this model of truck, buy this, this many of them, when you decide? Do they also include like the scaling plan of like, hey, you need this employee, then you need this employee? Like, is it that like ABC?
Yes, it is. So, I joined kind of early on, being 11 years ago. So they had a certain level of that. And as they've gotten more experience and we have more experienced operators across the U.S., that level of detail has gotten better and better and better. So today you join, it's very turnkey.
Really?
Back then it was turnkey with a few things you might have to figure out locally.
Turnkey-ish.
Yeah.
So how many, did you have more to say on that?
Oh, no, go ahead.
Okay, so how many dumpsters are you running right now? How many dumpsters do you have?
Yeah, we got 536 dumpsters in the field.
You have 536 dumpsters?
We're a logistics company. That's
Where
what
do
I
you
say
put
every day.
them?
Hopefully in driveways.
Oh my God. Like let's say you had to pull in all 536 dumpsters. What would happen?
That would be pretty tight, but we'd figure it out. So
Really?
if we had to pull, when hurricanes come, right?
That's exactly what I was thinking. Actually, it's like hurricane situation.
Right. So we've got I call them SOPs, but standard operating procedure.
Yeah,
We've
us
been
too.
through a bunch.
Yep.
And so we pull that out and we start going through our checklist. Well, we're gonna pull. We know the low-lying areas. We know the areas that flood, right? Coastal for sure.
Yeah.
Northeast St. Pete. Like
Yeah.
we're gonna get them out of those areas because we
Gonna take my dumpster on my beach remodel.
get it out of there for you.
Yeah.
Because the reality is when that surge comes in,
Yeah.
you think that dumpster's big and heavy. Those things will
They'll
float.
float.
And
Yeah,
who
they'll
knows
float.
where they end up or what they hit, right?
Yeah.
So we like to get those out of there. Plus, we
Wow.
don't want the salt water in them.
So you could have, if you didn't remove it, you could literally have a loaded dumpster. It could be 4,000 plus the cost of that could be like 6,000 pounds floating along. Boom. Yeah, your house is not going to survive that.
Right.
Wow. That's like a Mack truck hitting your house.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow,
So
I
if we
never
had to
thought
pull
about
them all in, and we pull a good amount of them in during hurricanes and events like that.
Yeah.
Christmas, another good example. Nobody wants a dumpster in their driveway, even if they're going through a remodel, right?
True.
So we run 4 sizes.
Trust me, yes, I know.
You do, right? So as you know, we run the 4 sizes. My 2 smaller ones fit inside my 2 bigger ones, so we can condense like that.
Oh,
And try to get them
nice.
in, yeah. So, and we'll put all our trucks in our garage. We got a good sized garage, and then
Yeah.
dumpsters are in the yards and stacked up. So,
Wow,
we do the best
dude.
we can, and it usually works out how we need it to.
Yeah. So in terms of invest, because obviously you have a huge amount of capital invested in the equipment that you use, right? Like how many trucks do you have?
We have 14 on the road, 3 for sale, so 17 total.
Yeah. So 17 trucks. What size truck are they roughly? Like
I call them medium duty.
Yeah.
So we try to keep everything 26 and under, so we don't have to run CDLs.
yeah,
So we're running like Ford
26
26,000 pounds.
pounds, that's what I
keeps you
thought.
under CDL limits. Yeah.
So you don't have to hire somebody with a specialized license to drive it.
And over the last few years, that's actually helped our business because, boy, it was hard to find a CDL qualified driver.
Yeah?
My friends in the business that have bigger trucks were all having a tough time. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was much easier for us because we had a better pool.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
But trucks on the small side, Ford
Yeah.
550s and 600s. And on the big side, we're running Ford 650s and Freightliner M2s.
Okay. So you've got 17 trucks. You got 500 dumpsters. What at this point, what does it cost you to buy a dumpster? Like, what do you pay for a dumpster?
Bigger dumpsters
Rough.
around 5,000. Smaller dumpster would be like 3,800.
Oh my God.
And we
So,
buy good quality dumpsters, Pennsylvania steel.
Yeah.
So we're spending a little more probably than some.
I've seen your dumpsters. They're phenomenal, and you paint them a bright green, which I'm sure that it
Part of
looks
the
like a very
franchise.
like hard like paint coating. I'm sure it helps protect them.
Yeah.
Okay, so you have that. So you've got like $3 to $5 million in equipment. If that's probably low, it's probably
sure.
more than that.
For sure.
So for somebody who's newer in business, how do you know when you need to add more capital? Like for me, I just launched a plumbing company in January, and we're up to 3 vans. We're bringing in our 4th right now,
Yeah.
right? And I'm like, boom, every single one of those is like $70,000, 60, whatever. By the time you put the shelves and the equipment, it's $70K,
Yeah.
right? And I'm like, damn, 70 grand. Like for you, for somebody who's been doing it obviously successfully, you wouldn't be doing it if you weren't making money, right? How do you know when it's time to add more equipment?
Yeah. I think just like any business, you probably track key performance indicators, right?
Yep.
KPIs.
Yep.
So we're looking at the number of jobs a truck is doing. And as that starts to get to what we consider our threshold, we know it's time to get that next truck.
Oh, wow.
So we know like a truck's at capacity at a certain point, certain number of
What's
dumpsters.
capacity for like a truck? Like
So we look like low end 65 dumpsters a month dropped.
65 a month drop, which breaks down to how many is that a week? That's not actually that many.
No, because you got to do pickups too on top of that.
Yeah.
So if you
use
drop
two-
65,
if it's a drop, there's
yeah.
a pickup and a
Right.
dump involved.
Yes.
So 60. Oh, that's 2 a day actually. That's 2 drops a day, which means there's also 2 pickups a day if you're there for 2 weeks or whatever.
So we're looking at that. That's on a low end. So if I'm below that, I'm not utilizing that truck, and I'm theoretically not making my money on it, right?
Yeah.
On the other side, we're looking as we start to approach that like 80 to 90.
Yeah.
Now we're going, okay, it's time to start thinking about that next truck. Let's talk to our bank, look at financing. Let's make sure there's a truck available. Because once we hit that 90 plus, that truck's just flat out. We wouldn't want to
So
have it
the
down.
cap is 90. So the cap would be 3 a day.
Yeah.
Holy cow. What kind of, dude, that's amazing. What kind of shifts do these guys? I'm sorry, I'm just like I love like logistics businesses like this. So I just want to know everything. How do these guys do that in one shift? Like the driver, or is that like?
Yeah, so the driver is typically going to be able to go out and do a certain number of tasks based on the type of task. So if they were just doing straight drops, deliveries, right?
Yeah.
They can do more than if they were doing all pickups, because the pickup requires the tarping, the sweeping up the driveway, the going and waiting in line at the dump, dumping it, going back to the yard to leave it there.
Yeah.
So we have a way where we look at, I call it like a weighted system.
Yeah.
So a delivery might be worth 1, whereas a swap is worth 1.5, and a pick and dump is worth 2. So
Nice.
we look at that in a day and say how much a driver can do.
Oh, dude, that's awesome. Yep. Did you come up with that system, or is that a franchise system?
That was actually something we developed internally, and one of my office managers developed that. Gosh, it's probably been 7-8 years now. As we got busier, we started to say, how are we gonna train other people?
Yeah.
How much a driver can take and how much is too much?
Yeah. So, okay, so I want to highlight what you just said. You said my office manager came up with that system.
Yeah.
Right? So what you just said, for anybody who missed it, because this is like a nuance of having a great business, is his employee generated intellectual property in the business, right? Like that's what people call IP. When you hear people say the word IP, it's your employee, and that's the most valuable part of a business is its intellectual property, right? The way you do things.
Oh, yeah.
You know? Your employee created that. That's awesome, dude. That's awesome. So let's I love the equipment stuff, but let's talk a little bit about employees. About how many employees do you have right now?
We're around 25 budgeted FTEs, a couple open positions right now.
FTE being full-time?
Full-time.
Full-time employee. And like, what's kind of the ratio of like on the road to in the office? Just
more on the road.
More on the road
than in the office. It's probably 1 office to 3 or 4 drivers.
That's kind of what I would expect. Yeah. So what do you look for? What do you look for in an employee?
Positive attitude.
Yeah.
Yeah, I find that just makes the environment, no matter where you're at, a little easier. And it's interesting. I never would have expected all the changes that come at us in a day. And if you're a negative person, man, it's tough to get
you're done.
turned around on that, right?
You're done before the day even started.
Yeah. So, whether it's a dumpster's blocked in with a trailer or the homeowner left on vacation and their car's behind it.
The contractor always did it. Let me acknowledge you. We did it. The contractor did it. I told the electrician to park in front of the dumpster.
Yeah. So there's just all kinds of changes that happen.
Yeah.
The driver shows up and they have a flat tire and they got to head to, the tire shop and get it repaired quick.
Yeah.
So all kinds of things hit us. So positive attitude's one thing we look for.
Yeah.
And that's a tough thing to interview for,
Yeah.
So we try to ask questions about difficult situations and how people handle them. And someone that complains in an interview is typically not going to work out.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. So if you need to hire one person, how many people do you plan on interviewing? Like what's your kind of like rough? It's kind of a rule of thumb thing. Like it's not a science, but like I know I'll tell you ours, but I'm curious to know yours.
Yeah. So with drivers, we call them delivery experts. I will probably look through about 60 to 70 resumes. I will choose to have a 15-minute introductory phone call with maybe 10 of those.
Yeah.
And I might have 2 to 3 in for an in-person interview.
Wow.
And hopefully I'll hire 1 out of that.
Yeah. And so you go from 70 to 1 is kind of the ratio.
Pretty much. Yeah.
That's
been recently, similar. Like the last 3 to 5 years, right? Before that, it was a little different, but that's been kind of the recent trend.
As in, you didn't have to go quite through so many.
You didn't have to go that deep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you attribute that to, because we're in Tampa, so do you, Clearwater, Tampa, whatever. Do you attribute that to kind of like the explosion of population here, of like there's just a bunch of new people who are just kind of new to the area and aren't like so committed and settled in, or do you think it's a cultural change? You can give your honest opinion. You can say, this is my show. You can say whatever the fuck you want.
All right. Like
free reign.
So a little bit of both, maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a generational culture shift that's happening.
Yeah.
Just differences in workers, right? Like I say, if you're going to be a full-time driver for me, you have to commit to working every other Saturday. We run Saturdays. It's part of our difference.
Yeah.
And if you say no to Saturdays, I can't hire you no matter how much I like you, because I'm not going to treat you different than my guys have been with me for 6, 7, 8 years, right?
Yeah.
Younger generation is coming in and going, here's the days and hours I'll work.
Yeah.
Not like, what's my shift going to be, right?
Yeah.
So that's kind of the cultural aspect of it.
Yeah.
But then I think you also have best governor in the country, right? And we had super low unemployment
Yeah.
for a number of years now.
Yeah.
And so people had good jobs. And if they were with good employers, they weren't looking to move.
Yeah.
And so I think that just was another part of the challenge that kind of we encountered over that period of time.
Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah, for us at Home Love, we probably, Ashley, how many people do you think we interview for like any given position, like rough order of magnitude?
Until we find somebody.
Yeah. What do you think we average?
Probably around 50.
You think we interview 50 for one
Yeah.
in person?
Wow, that's a lot
So
of time.
yeah, well, we have a full-time recruiter. We're up to like 48 staff right now.
Okay.
Yeah. So we're the thing. It's we basically just boiled it down to it's all people. It's all people.
Yeah.
We put one good person in the right position. That one person could double our business.
No, I totally
You know what I mean?
agree. Yeah.
Like you put a manager in the right position, boom, they can explode that business because they bring the whole team up with them. You know what I mean? And the team also recognizes like, oh man, they stepped up over in this other area. I need to step my game up.
Yeah,
Right.
totally agree.
We have that going on in our sales and production right now. In construction, one of the biggest problems that you run into, and I'm sure you've heard this from contractors, is they sell, and then they have to deliver.
Yeah.
But they can sell faster than they can deliver. Well, we've invested over the past 3 years. We've just been like just pounding the delivery side, getting just a huge. We probably have a list of locally 500 subcontractors at this point. We've just been, and it's taken a long time to build that list and like find out who are the good ones and who are the not good ones.
Yeah.
Right? We've gotten it so smooth now that on a weekly basis, the amount we're building is more than the amount we're selling, which has never happened ever. Like, I don't think any contractor's ever done that ever unless they just stop selling.
And is that because your execution got better, or have you seen a slowdown in
Our
just the
execution
market?
has gotten wildly better, like scarily better. But it's because of one guy, and then we put another executive, actually a woman. So the person who runs all the delivery for me, it's a woman. So we actually also have a majority of female executives in our company, not by any plan. It's just like we're finding, there's a lot of women out there who are actually looking for work, even in the construction field. And there's some talented women out there.
I'm a firm believer, put the best person in the seat. That's the only thing that matters.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And so, there were men who were passed over for that position in taking a woman, and we're not a DEI company. Like, screw that.
Yeah.
Like, I do not do the diversity, equity, inclusion thing. Like, no, I do meritocracy, right? And it sounds like you definitely do the same.
Yes.
In businesses like ours, I feel like it would be like there would be like a mutiny if like I promoted somebody who didn't have. We track everything. So like you were saying, KPIs. We have a suite of probably at this point like 250 different metrics that we track throughout the company.
Yeah.
And we make each person report their production like on a weekly basis. So every person has like 2 to 4 graphs of, hey, what did I produce that week? Put it on a graph. Let's see what the graph's doing, right? So at that, it's just so clear who's doing well and who's not, because we also make them put their graph next to their desk. So you can literally just walk around and be like, oh, they're doing terrible. Wow, that guy's killing it. Holy cow. And you're like, well, that's a person who's going to move up when if he wants to, when there's a position open in management,
Yeah.
So in that, what's your viewpoint on employee turnover? Do you have an opinion on turnover, or is it a thing you look to minimize, or how do you feel about it?
Last couple of years, didn't have a lot of choice with it, right?
Yeah. Well, what does that mean?
So we encountered, from a new hire standpoint, more job hoppers than we had in the past. And I hired people needing butts in a seat that I probably wouldn't have 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah.
So by not getting the right people, we face more turnover than we typically would have in the past.
Yep.
We've had some longtime employees that have been wonderful, and they've stayed, and it's been good.
Yeah.
And then we had those folks that you kind of knew hiring, maybe they weren't going to last a long time. And many didn't, some did.
Yeah.
And that was kind of, I'd say, a little unique or different challenge I had never seen in my lifetime in business. I mean, I've been in different sized businesses my entire professional life.
Yeah.
And have never seen the turnover like we saw the last couple of years.
Yeah.
So
I think that's going to get more extreme. That's my viewpoint, is I think it's going to continue that way, and I think it's actually going to get more intense. Unless there's some sort of a like huge like economic change where a bunch of people like have to get laid off from like big businesses or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, we probably between 60 and 70% of the people we hire don't make it through the first week because we have that same thing of like, hey, we don't want somebody to get grooved in and everybody's depending on them. And then it turns out they didn't actually want the job and they were hunting for something else and they go.
Hire slow, fire fast, right?
Yeah. We kind of hire fast and fire fast. But we have high criteria for who we hire.
Yeah.
You know?
If there was one thing I was going to get better at, I would like to be able to cut the cord quicker.
Yeah.
Healthcare background. I like to help people. I feel I can save people. I can't sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I would have said the same thing myself, probably like 4 years ago. It's harder. The bigger your company gets, this is what I've experienced in having like almost 50 employees now. The bigger it gets, the easier it gets because it's very rare that you're going to have to let go of a very, very top executive, right? Like I've kind of got like 3 people who immediately report to me and run. They each have a big chunk of the business. Those 3 aren't going anywhere, right? Like they've been with us, some for multiple years, some for more than a year. They're not going anywhere. And those are the people I work with on a daily basis. And so as the, CEO, as the leader, it gets a lot easier when the person is a little bit more, they're further away, because that's simply know, how it is. Still love them, still want them to do well.
Right.
But yeah, you know what? For me, it's like, it's also letting somebody go is in a way like, and this is, some people might say this is just self-serving. I don't really care. I think it's helping them because it's giving them a real indicator of like, hey, you're not doing as well as you think you are.
Yeah.
Like you've got to improve. You know what I mean? It's just a brutal way to communicate that, but also you have to be able to like, that's also the job of a leader. I was with, at Grant Cardone's, conference this past weekend that I was telling you about. And one thing that he said, there was a lunch where he took questions and stuff and kind of walked on this, maybe like 100 people in the room. And he was talking about, he was like, when Elon Musk bought Twitter, right? You know about that? So when he bought Twitter, he fired 75% of the staff in the first month.
Yeah, I kind of remember some news around that. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's true. He wound up turning over about 80% of the people, and he's only replaced maybe like 5 or 10% of them because most of the jobs weren't needed. It's crazy.
Wow.
But what Grant was saying is, and I don't actually know. Do you know who Grant Cardone is?
Yeah.
You a Grant fan? Like
I get his emails every day. A few of them.
Yes, there we go. Me too. Everybody does.
You gotta love Grant, right?
Dude, he said he has a 6.4 million person email list now.
Holy
which is
cow.
crazy. 6 million people on his email list.
Dang.
But what he was saying is, he said the job of a leader is to make the brutally hard decision. Hey, we're going to fire half the staff. Like that. Sometimes that's the right thing to do.
Man, I'd
a
be
lot of
worried
times
if I was
it's
doing
not.
that.
Yeah, a lot of times it's not. Like I'm not saying like somebody needs to go out and fire half their staff. But if if your company is going down and you're going downhill and you have more people than you had, look, somebody's not pulling their weight. So that's how it goes. How do you handle like correcting your employees?
So we do corrective action forms. We actually document it.
Yep. Dude, so critical.
Just over time, I learned that, stuff adds up and adds up and adds up. And then when you have a big problem, you've got no historical proof of anything, right? And it's like they've never heard it before. So we just document it. It's not punitive.
Yeah.
It is corrective, exactly like it says.
Yeah.
We used to refer to them as write-ups, and I said, we got to stop saying these are write-ups. These are correctives. Like, nothing negative is going to happen to the employee. We want them to understand our policy was A, you did B. We need to move it towards A and do that in the future.
Yeah. Dude, so how much company policy do you have? As a franchise, is that dictated to you plus you add to it?
So they give quite a bit of like process or policy today. When I started, there was less, obviously.
Yeah.
I'm big coming out of healthcare. I'm big on procedure. So I'm a pharmacist by education.
Yeah.
When you're making say chemotherapy treatments or something, you want to follow the process and do it right. People's lives are in your hands, right?
Yeah.
So I just learned that at an early age, and that's how I've always run my business is with policy. And if there's something we're doing and Sally can't pick it up and do it right behind me, then we need to redo that policy.
Yeah. So the duplication of it is kind of like a critical point for you.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Especially significant tasks, like daily tasks that have to get done.
Right. Yeah. What's one thing where like a task that you used to do yourself where maybe you thought, man, I feel like I'll just have to do this forever. And then you successfully gave that, like took that hat off and like gave it to somebody else.
Probably the biggest one was billing.
Billing.
I was so nervous for a client to
Yeah.
get an inaccurate invoice or wrong bill that I was very reluctant to give that up to someone. But we have an accounting group, and our office manager can do it too. So it works out good today. And boy, I'm glad that was off my plate, because it was, it was a daily task for us.
Yeah. So, man, that's so interesting. That's not what I expected you to say. Because for most people, I feel like they give that up like boom right away. Like get the accounting out. Because most people can't they can't confront the detail. Mm-hmm. Are you like a good like details like numbers guy?
Yeah, so I'm a very detailed numbers guy.
Yeah.
But I love to stay out of the weeds and have people responsible for it and trust those people to do it. I like to be working out into the future, not in today.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, dude. So let's talk about that.
Okay.
So what are the plans out in the future for you? For Been There, Dump That? Like.
Yeah. So this year has been a little different than other years. We were looking for some pretty significant growth again this year. Stuff's changed just a little bit. A lot of reasons too. No one reason. Our contractors seem to be doing fewer jobs but bigger jobs.
Yeah.
So I just talked to a local contractor recently, and let's say he had 10 work sites for us.
Who was it? Was it Jason?
Jason.
Dude, I'm interviewing Jason later this week.
Are you really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, Jason's a good buddy of mine. Yeah.
Yeah. So Jason.
Dude, I probably got your number from Jason.
Oh, you might have. Yeah.
Probably.
So Jason's been a customer since almost we opened the doors.
Yeah.
So he's going on 11 years with us.
We're talking about Jason Avery.
Yeah.
Fuck you, Jason. Just kidding. I love that guy.
Do you kick his butt at golf too?
I didn't, but I'm gonna. I've been taking lessons.
You probably could. Tell him I said that.
Yeah. He's gonna be surprised next. He hasn't golfed with me for like 2.5 years, and I've done a lot of lessons since then with a really good coach.
Nice.
And I've gotten a lot better. So I think he's gonna be shocked.
I had him introduce me a few weeks ago, and
Yeah.
I gave him the notes right beforehand, and one of the bullets was I enjoyed beating him at golf.
Yeah, I love that.
So he said I was a trash talker, which was funny.
Makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So, but anyway, what Jason was communicating, I've heard from a few others, is I've got more business than I did last year. It's just a lot of bigger business. So I may have fewer work sites going on.
Yeah.
But we still have the projects they're doing make sense for them from a revenue or income standpoint. So from our end, what's that translate into? Well, you're still only going to have one dumpster on site.
Yeah.
So you're not going to turn through as many quick.
Yeah.
At the end of last year, we had no rain. People don't know they have leaks in their roofs if there's no rain. So our roofers were a little slower. Well, this summer, the skies have opened and the roofers are busy again. So that's good too.
Oh, wow.
And then you look at like a good portion of our market was people who were buying homes. I mean, our home market was hot, right? The last couple of years.
Yeah.
And when you buy a house, you're going to remodel a half a bath, tear out some wallpaper or something, right?
Yeah.
And we're seeing a lot less of that right now between fewer homes selling and higher interest rates. So this year we're looking to maintain. We're tightening up a little bit. We're doing a lot of maintenance on our dumpsters. We repaint a dumpster every 3 years. So the last couple of years we were so busy it was hard to get some done. So we're getting more dumpsters painted right now.
Yeah, nice. So what like going into the future, what are your plans for expansion?
Yeah, we're gonna keep growing. So we started here in Clearwater.
Yeah.
Expanded over into Tampa.
Nice.
3 years ago, moved into Lakeland and up into Pasco County. And Lakeland and Pasco County have a ton of growth opportunity right now. Yeah. So we're very focused on those areas at the moment, as well as maintaining and still growing our existing kind of core where we started from.
Yeah.
And then I'm actively looking for acquisitions. So there's other franchises in other cities around us, and I'm trying to see if I can make a deal with someone who's adjacent to me where it makes sense to tie it into our operation.
Oh,
too.
Awesome, dude! Yeah. I love that. You know what I just did is one dream of mine is to own a truss factory. I know that's a weird dream.
There's one out on 60, isn't there?
Oh, there's a ton. Yeah. But surprisingly few. There's only about 30 in the state of Florida. There might be some that aren't listed on Google, but I did kind of a pretty deep dive on this last week. There's only about 30 truss plants in Florida.
Wow.
Right, which is way less than you might think, right? Mm-hmm. At first I was like, wow, this is way more than I thought. I'm surprised by how many there are locally that I've never heard of, but in the state there's only about 30. Right? And I was looking at those, and it's basically we want to buy one. I don't want to open one. That would just
Yeah.
be insane when there's already ones that are running. When you look at acquisitions, are you mostly focused on like, I want something that's already running really well that I can just smoothly integrate, or are you looking more for like improvement opportunities, or like what are you looking for in your when you look at acquisition?
So it could be both, right? As a buyer.
By the way, when I say acquisition, we're literally talking about buying another business. Like he wants to buy, let's say, Sarasota County as a territory or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just for anybody who doesn't know.
Yeah. So I would always rather build something that's already running with the people in place that still has opportunity, because then you can go in and focus on the opportunity, not focus on whatever's broken and is not making money, right? Or
something
start
that
from the ground up.
Runs smooth, but might be a little small.
Yeah, smooth and small, or someone was just happy with what they were doing, but my vision would be bigger and different, right? So, I like already having the people and the process and things in place because I find that easier to build on. I've done the startup thing a couple times, once in healthcare tech, and then this one here, and then I also have a cold call marketing company that started up too. So,
I love that. What do you cold call about?
We do.
Or do you do it for other businesses?
Yeah, I started it for myself.
Yeah.
So we were cold calling contractors. We were making a couple thousand calls a month.
Dude, that's so
and
easy.
it was working. I mean, we were adding people I had never met, and it was just awesome. And then I had some friends come and say, "Hey, well, it's like you're growing pretty fast. What's going on?" And I'm like, "This is the best selling I've ever done." And
Yeah.
we're not like, so it's Cold Call RX is the name of the company. We're not hard.
Yeah.
Cold callers, right? Like not Grant Cardone's people. But it's more introductory because the reality is someone's going to have a need for you if you have dumpsters and they're in construction, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just being top of mind, and they think of you when they have the need because they already got someone they like.
Yeah.
Or they have their own trailers.
Yeah.
But the tires blow out. They have more projects than trailers.
Dude.
Their guy can't deliver on a Saturday. That's when you want them to think of you, and that's when you get your foot in the door, and that's what we do. So we just start reminding people are there every time they pull a permit. And you'd be surprised how many people go, "Hey, you've been calling me for a year. I'm going to give you a shot."
Oh, wow.
And that's how it's just added up for us. It's been great.
Yeah.
So, but to your question, startup is always harder. You got to find the people. You got to put the process. You got to get those customers to cover cash flow.
Yeah.
There's just a whole lot of other worries that go on.
Yeah.
Whereas I'd rather go in with that covered and in place.
Yeah.
And then be able to take it to the next level.
And are you I don't know, obviously your financial situation, this would be dependent on your goals and financial situation, but are you looking for somewhere where there's a possibility of owner financing, like the owner holding a part of the debt, or are you trying to just handle everything and have the owner move out and not be involved at all?
It could be either. Again, it's really based on that business, right? So I'm actively in discussions with one right now.
Yeah.
This one's not adjacent to me,
Yeah.
but there's some personal reasons the seller needs to sell.
Sure.
And there's no way a bank
That's the
will
best.
touch it.
That's the best.
So
of
it's
those
going to
personal
have to be
reasons.
owner financed. It's the only way to get it done.
Oh, wow.
And the business is losing a little bit of money right now, so I would need my cash to support it. So when you look at something like that, it makes sense for the owner financing. It also makes the transaction happen the fastest.
Yep. That's the biggest thing is there's no well, obviously you have your due diligence, but there's no bank due diligence. Like you need to see what you need to see.
Yep.
And then you can say, hey, okay, done, let's sign it.
Right.
Yeah.
And then there's other ones where they're good businesses, and there's been a couple adjacent to me that I've talked with recently too, and good businesses making money. It could support a loan, could support me putting some of my own funding into it, or both.
Yeah.
So it really depends on the current status, I guess, of that company. Yeah.
And so you're obviously already moving in this direction. For the guy that you're in talks with, how long did you have that, how long were you in touch with him before it moved into, hey, let's talk about actually doing a deal here? How long did it take for that to develop?
So I have two that I've been, I call it poking, but telling them I'm interested for 3-4 years.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Yeah. And then I've got one that looks like it's the most active. It's the hottest.
Yeah.
Just recently, a couple
Some people,
months.
you got to sell, you got to sell.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think for a lot of people who are like, oh, I'm going to buy a business, they go and look at 3 businesses, and then 3 people tell them no, and they're like, oh, there's no businesses for sale. And it's like, no, dude. It's they're all around you. One, they have to see that you can actually do it. Because most people, when they hear somebody say, hey, I want to buy your business, they assume you're not serious.
Yeah.
Because they're like, who the hell would want to buy this?
And maybe they hadn't thought about it.
They also probably haven't thought about it at all.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
And then they start to think what freedom might be like.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah. And then eventually you can actually get an opportunity to sell them on the vision, or they sell themselves on the vision. And then at that point you just figure out a number that works. And the most beautiful thing for me about buying a bit, because we're going to be moving hard into buying. We actually bought a small, very, very small general contractor earlier this year. We announced that there was like a thing in the Tampa Bay Business Journal, which was super cool. Really, we bought it for the name and the extra license.
Yeah.
He had a very small client base, which now we market to, but it was a name and I needed a second license. And it also freed him up to go do some stuff that he wanted to do. But it's a process buying a business. Like, it is a freaking process and a half. And if you're not committed to it and you don't have the time freed up, like, clearly you have time. We're doing this at 11 a.m. on a Tuesday. Clearly you got your business in a place where you can step out and it's still running. Like, you're still making money.
It's all about the people.
That's right. You got your people working for you. You're still closing deals on new dumpsters. People are still signing up. People are still getting dumpsters out. People are still paying their invoices.
Yes.
You're not physically doing any of that. You're overseeing it, right?
Right.
So for people who are like, oh, it's cheaper to do it myself. No, you don't realize what's out there for you. If you can
Very
get
expensive.
It's so expensive to do it yourself. That's the most expensive way you can do something.
Yeah.
Because then you're saying my time is worth whatever I'd have to pay somebody else at $25 an hour.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, you're worth way more than $25 an hour with some of these people that I meet, who are like, oh, I'll just do it myself. It's
I had
like,
a
no.
local roofing company owner tell me a few weeks ago, man, how many trucks you got? I keep seeing your guys in a landfill. I'm like, why are you in a landfill?
Oh. When's the last time you went to the dump?
9 years ago.
Dude, let's go. Owns a dumpster company, hasn't been to the dump in 9 years. That's because you're a business owner.
I have
That's the way it
I
should
have
be.
great drivers, and they're
Yeah.
good at doing that, and I'm focused on other stuff to keep them working and hire new people.
Exactly. Exactly. Now, you probably need to go look at buying the dump. I'll just say that. But
Just looked at one.
yeah,
There's been
is
a
that
couple.
is a dump a good bit? That seems like a great business. I don't know.
So I think so.
Yeah. It seems like they drop the stuff off. You take a tractor, you push it into a semi, it leaves, you get paid.
Yeah, that's
And
like
you get paid on both ends.
Yeah, that's a transfer station, and then you got like the landfills, which probably are untouchable with permitting and everything. But
Yeah.
I mean, it's number one to go get one permitted right now.
A transfer station.
Yeah, where you dump it all, and then they put it in trucks and take it to the landfill.
And they go bring it to somebody else.
Yeah.
Oh, I never
Yeah.
thought about
Like,
that.
yeah,
But
so-
you could just have one of those. You don't have to worry about the debris. You just have to get it out.
Transfers, in my mind, where it's at. That's what I looked at. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and I think they're amazing businesses.
Literally, okay, so anybody watching this, I want you to realize we're talking about the movement of trash, literally, and how big of a market is that in just the Tampa Bay area? $100 million?
Oh, it's a good question. I don't even know. It's massive. I mean, because you got different parts, right? You got all the food and household pickup.
Yeah.
Which that's a big game.
Well,
for the big boys,
put that to the side.
Yeah.
Just commercial and like construction debris, like commercial debris.
Yeah.
In large loads, the collection, dumping, and removal of that, it's got to be, I mean, God.
I'd say billions. I mean, it's
Yeah.
got to be so big, and it depends what you say for the Tampa area.
Yeah.
But gosh, you just look at the number of trucks and trailers and those dumps and the
Yeah.
wait lines,
And there's
how
wait
many
lines.
dumps we have.
And the trucks going out too. Like you
Oh,
ever
yeah.
see like the trucks like taking the
big
debris
ones.
away.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good question. I tried to find some of that once, and I didn't get real good numbers because a lot
Yeah.
of it's just aggregated together.
You'd have to kind of estimate.
Yeah.
My thing is like I think to get that accurate, you'd have to literally like go and like tabulate like, okay, how many trucks left the station?
Yeah.
Or you'd have to get inside data from them, which I'm sure you could get. You'd be like, hey, I'm just curious.
Yeah, there's been a couple recent acquisitions where I think maybe
Yeah.
some of that data, when they're final, might
Yeah.
be accessible.
Yeah. Yeah, I love looking
Yeah,
at
like
that stuff.
Angelo's around us. They've got the Dade
Yeah.
City landfill. They got a bunch of transfers. There was just an acquisition there.
Oh, really?
So
they got
that's-
bought or they bought somebody?
They got bought. Yeah.
Who bought them?
GFL, I think is what it's called.
Okay.
Been trying to get a meeting. I think I'm one of their biggest customers and haven't. So if they're listening, I want a meeting with the
So
executives.
so GFL, the execs at GFL.
Yeah.
Do you have a name? Do you know the guy you need to meet with?
No, we've been trying to figure that out. They kept a lot of the people in place, and they're good at blocking right now. So,
Got it.
yeah.
Got it. That's
and
okay.
there's nobody local yet. I mean, it was just acquisition just got done. So
Got it. Got it. Did anybody get fired from Angelo's after they got taken over?
Not that I'm aware of. We still see a lot of the same faces and folks.
Because that's the person who'll give you the info. Like, yeah, this guy. This is who you talk to.
Yeah.
They're just
The folks I'm aware of have not. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
That was a great family-owned business.
Yeah.
I mean, they had a good piece of the market here. And, yeah, I mean, back to your point of market, right? Like, I've got over 500 dumpsters, and I'm just still a small piece of the whole market here, right?
500 dumpsters is a small player in the market of removing debris from construction sites and households, and that's so insane.
Yeah, it's nuts, right?
That's so insane. Where does PAW fit into that scene, Paw?
So
because they don't do so much they don't really do what you do.
No, not at all. They're more in removal of, I'll call it big stuff. So you see them around bridge projects and road projects and big demolitions. And, they bought a big piece of property up in Pasco.
They bought the Crossroads lumber mill.
Yeah. And we
used to buy lumber from them.
Oh, did you really?
Yeah, they don't sell lumber anymore. It's kind of sad.
Yeah.
That was the only place within like 50 miles to get rough sawn cypress.
Okay.
You can order it in now, but they had it like on hand.
Yeah. Oh,
random factoid.
Yeah. So very interesting. You'd think that would have been a good business to keep, but trash may be better.
Yeah, exactly. So literally trash. Yeah, it's so insane.
And they're supposedly going to be putting in transfer or dump up there. They've got a lot of property.
That is a big piece of land. Like it goes back far, and it's a lot of road frontage too.
And that goes back to what's the big challenge, because they've owned that for a few years. I'll guarantee it's permitting.
Yeah.
To get permitted to have a dump or a transfer, it's a big process, a lot of money. So you go back to easier to buy.
Way easier to buy. Yep. Yeah, it's like buying a bar or something. Well, dude, I want to get to wrapping up here. So for you, what would you say people can expect to see from Been There Dump That in the next 3, 5, 10 years? Like, what should people be looking for from you?
Yeah, so I'd say number one, we're going to continue to provide the best service in Tampa. We're talking to our staff about that every day.
Yeah.
You come to work for me, you sign a statement understanding we're about wow service.
Wow service.
It's trash, and we want to wow you. And it is so simple, right?
Yeah.
And our business is simple, so I think everybody should be able to do that.
Yeah.
But anyway, we're going to continue to provide the best service, and we're going to hire staff that want to do that.
Yeah.
We're going to continue our growth. You're going to see a much bigger presence for us up in Pasco County and over in Polk County.
Love that. I'm from Pasco, just so you know.
Okay.
Yeah, I grew up in Hudson and then Newport Richie.
So much going on up there.
Dude, it's crazy.
Yeah. We just put our first garage up in Hudson off of Denton.
Nice. Yep. Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, so just to give you perspective, when I was a kid, Little Road, I don't remember it being a dirt road, but I do remember it being a one lane road.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Stuff has changed. Huh?
So different up there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then last, I think you're going to see us in a new market, and we're going to find an acquisition that's going to work here pretty soon. At this point, it's going to be another Been There Dump That.
Yeah.
And it's going to be one that's already doing well that we can wrap up and bring into our fold and just have a bigger presence in the area.
I love that, man. I love that. Well, dude, well done on your success. I want to see you in the newspaper when you buy the other. Newspapers are very hungry for content. Did you know that?
Oh, I did not know that.
Dude. I got interviewed by somebody in the Tampa Bay Business Journal last week because we're going to be on 100 Day Dream Home this next episode.
Very cool.
Yeah, newspapers are hungry for, especially like business papers, because business owners just go about doing their business and they'll make these big moves. Like you're about to buy like another multi-million-dollar business. You might be like, hey, yeah, I'm going to get this business. I'm going to buy this one, da-da-da. For other people, that's a big move. Like that's not like a normal everyday thing, right?
Yeah.
So be sure you like tell somebody, and if you want to know who to talk to, let me know and we'll just connect you.
Yeah.
But like, that's also a lesson for other business owners. If you're going to make a move, tell people about the move you're making. Yeah. It's just free public. It's free.
It's a great point.
It's free promotion, Yeah, it's great. But dude, well, awesome. I look forward to seeing, more. And I look forward to next year when we do this again or even sooner, being like, okay, now we got 2 locations. We're up in Pasco. We got 5,000 dumpsters. Just real quick before we end off, what would have to happen for you to go from 500 to 5,000 dumpsters? Like realistically, how would that actually have to happen?
That's a really good question. I mean, to go from 500 to 5,000, I'd have to have more territory, obviously, or else
Yeah.
I would just own the space.
Yeah.
And if I own the space, Waste Management and some of the big boys would take notice and probably make it hard on me. Maybe they'd buy the whole franchise.
That's the easiest way to get you out of the way, by the way, is to buy you.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it would definitely require a larger territory and
Yeah.
a couple of key. If you get Orlando, Fort Myers, Naples, it's very possible.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, next time we talk, 5,000.
All right. Let's do it.
Mike, thanks for the time today. Pleasure having you on, man.
All right. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah.